DBM announced the existence of DAP from its very inception. The launching of DAP was covered by major broadsheets.
Budget Secretary Butchabad was hot off the Senate's grill over the Disbursement Acceleration Program controversy, or DAP. Given his chance to explain, he further defended DAP as an honest stimulus package that helped uplift the economy. He added that it was done in good faith. But some are not convinced. A week before President Aquino's State of the Nation address, or SONA, at least 28 organizations and allies of the Makabayan bloc filed the first valid impeachment complaint against President Aquino last Monday, followed by another impeachment complaint from the Kabataan party list the next day. Critics urged the Congress to act on PNoy's liability over the controversial DAP. Yesterday, San Lakas filed a new impeachment complaint. Impeachment is a political process that many Filipinos are very familiar with. In 2011, then Chief Justice Renato Corona was impeached due to his failure to disclose to the public his statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth. An impeachment case will prosper if the House of Representatives approve the complaint and the articles of impeachment by a one-third vote. Amid all allegations against the president, the man under current scrutiny, PNoy himself, seems to remain steadfast by challenging the recent Supreme Court decision in his recent speeches.
Paano ka ngayon kikilos kung sa bawat galaw mo, iniisip mo kung makukulong ka dahil nga guilty until proven innocent na ang turing sa'yo?
These tosses appear to be far from over, as Malacanang filed a motion for reconsideration to the High Court decision, leading to what appears as a political stalemate, that while the Supreme Court and those who filed impeachment complaints have the guts, President Aquino has the numbers as he holds the majority of both houses. Welcome to Opposing Views, a hard, straightforward discussion of today's most pressing issues. President Aquino is facing 4 impeachment complaints to date, one about the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, and 3 on the Unconstitutional Disbursement Acceleration Program, or DAP. As one senator puts it, DAP is a hijack of the fiscal independence of constitutional bodies. So we ask tonight, should President Aquino be impeached over the Disbursement Acceleration Program controversy? Good evening, I'm Rod Nepomuceno, and this is Opposing Views. Joining us tonight in our discussion is former Gabriela Party List Representative Liza Masa. Ms. Masa, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Rod.
Yes, can you give us a quick summary of your thoughts, of your position on this debate question? Should President Aquino be impeached?
Well, yes, as one of the complainants, I believe that President Aquino should be impeached on grounds that he violated the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And he betrayed the public trust.
All right. Okay. Those are the grounds,
yes,
that you used for the complaint. Now, on the opposing side, on the phone right now is 4th District Representative of the province of Cavite, Congressman Elpidio Barzaga. Congressman Barzaga, good evening.
Good evening, Ray. Rod.
Yes, sir. So our debate question for tonight is should the president be impeached over the Disbursement Acceleration Program? In 30 seconds, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I do not think that there is a valid legal ground to impeach the president on the basis of the DAP. Firstly, the impeachment is anchored on the decision of the Supreme Court. And the decision of the Supreme Court, as of now, is not yet final and executory. As a matter of fact, there is a pending motion for reconsideration, and there is still a possibility that there might be a reversal of the decision. Mm-hmm. Secondly, assuming that the decision is already final and executory, the decision of the Supreme Court merely stated that certain programs under DAP are unconstitutional. But the Supreme Court did not make a declaration that the entire disbursement acceleration program is unconstitutional. And thirdly, we are also invoking the provision of Section 25 of Article 6 Apparently, that is the provision being relied upon by the Supreme Court in making a declaration that part of the programs of DAP is unconstitutional. The prohibition that no law shall be passed transferring any appropriation. Unfortunately, as legal luminaries are saying, this would be prospective in character. There should be no law that has to be passed which will allow the transfer of appropriation. Fortunately for the President, we have the provisions of the Administrative Code of 1987, particularly Section 8 and Section 49, allowing the President to suspend any payment and have a savings, and under Section 49 to pull all these savings. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court did not declare these provisions of Section 38 and 49 to be unconstitutional.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Congressman Barzaga. All right. Let's start off the discussion. Again, the whole point of this is to inform the public and so that they'll form their own opinion regarding the matter, no? Which is quite important. So we'll start off with Ms. Liza. We'll ask you a question. When the Supreme Court announced that the DAP is partially unconstitutional, did that automatically put President Aquino in peril, you think?
Well, yes, of course, because obviously the Supreme Court decision was very clear on the violations that the President committed. And that includes the illegitimate pooling of funds and putting that as savings, no?
Which
the
is
Supreme Court has said
you're
unconstitutional.
saying. Okay.
And then another is that the President also through the DAP did cross-border transfer of funds, which the Constitution and the GAA does not allow. And then thirdly, also that that they put funds in projects that are not even there in the GAA. You know, so this illegal acts were declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. That is very clear. But then I think even Congressman Barzaga said that the filing of the impeachment complaint is premature. But I don't think that very much that it will matter whether the Supreme Court will reverse its decision, because our basis, the grounds for our impeachment complaint, is have a very strong basis. And the impeachment, as we all know, is a political process. It is a class of its own. So even independent of the Supreme Court decision, our complaint is very much grounded. But then, of course, the Supreme Court declaration that aspects of the DAP were unconstitutional further strengthened our assertion that indeed the President committed illegal acts.
Even if it's just certain portions.
Yes.
Did the Supreme Court, according to Congressman Barzaga, only certain portions or certain projects were declared unconstitutional, not the DAP itself, the program itself.
But our assertion is that the President actually really usurped the power of Congress, to over the purse.
Yeah, okay.
No?
All right,
And,
Congressman, I'll pause. I'll have to interrupt you at this point. Congressman Barzaga, do you feel that the President usurped the role of the legislature, effectively basically having the power of the purse?
Well, I do not think so. Well, firstly, insofar as the comment of my dear friend Lisa, when I stated that the impeachment complaint is premature. As I have been reading in the newspapers, the basis of the impeachment complaint, insofar as the DAP is concerned, is the declaration made by the Supreme Court that certain programs under the DAP is unconstitutional. The complainants are alleging that the President committed an act which is unconstitutional and which has been declared by the Supreme Court to be unconstitutional. For lawyers like us, that is not yet a final decision of the Supreme Court, inasmuch as there is still a pending motion for reconsideration. Assuming, just for the sake of argument, that the Supreme Court would reverse itself and would declare that certain programs under the DAP or no program under the DAP is unconstitutional, will there be any leg for which the impeachment complaint right now would stand? Definitely there would be.
But
none.
Congressman, according to Ms. Maza, that if independent of the Supreme Court decision, there are findings that at least lead to the fact that President Aquino overstepped his role as president.
Okay, overstepping on the act of the president is not a valid ground for impeachment. The grounds relied upon by them will be culpable violation of the Constitution. If the Supreme Court would reverse itself and would declare that the president did not commit any unconstitutional act, then there would be no violation of the Constitution, which could be the basis of the impeachment complaint. Another thing is that they relied upon on betrayal of public trust. If the Supreme Court would declare that the act of the president, by virtue of his motion for reconsideration, is constitutional, then how can you justify the ground of betrayal of public trust? Thirdly, if we shall be alleging that the president would be overstepping or abrogated upon himself the power of Congress, in the event that decision is reversed by a motion for reconsideration, then there is no also legal and valid basis to pursue the impeachment complaint. And those were the reasons why I stated earlier that the impeachment complaint is premature inasmuch as there is no final and executory decision insofar as the alleged unconstitutional acts committed by the president are concerned.
All right, we need to take a short break, ma'am. I'll allow you to do your own rejoinder on that. Meanwhile, you can react online via Facebook at facebook.com/SolarOpposingViews or tweet your comments at opposing_views. Use the hashtag #OVImpeachment. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views. I'm Rod Nepomuceno. We have with us former Gabriela Party List Representative Lisa Masa and on the phone, Cavite 4th District Representative Congressman Elpidio Barzaga. Our debate question for tonight, should President Aquino be impeached over the disbursement acceleration program controversy? Ma'am Lisa, we were talking earlier, Congressman Barzaga made a point that, since since there's no final and executory decision from the Supreme Court, and you're using that as basis to declare his supposed unconstitutional acts, maybe we shouldn't have an impeachment case yet.
What we are saying is that is one that affirms our allegation, but we are also saying that the decision of the Supreme Court on the constitutionality of the DAP is not the only basis.
And your other basis is just based on
our
the operative facts. I mean,
yes,
the fact of what he did.
Yeah, exactly.
On face value.
Yes, because what he did is that he created his own pork barrel, which is a huge amount. We are talking here of billions of pesos through the DAP, and he made the GAA, the GAA, as his slush fund. And give, to whoever he wants to give the money. So, and that is unconstitutional.
All right.
And he made all these actions like cross-border transfer, premature declaration of savings. But aside from that, one ground also, in addition to culpable violation of the Constitution, is betrayal of public trust. And that is he, by doing that, by creating that, perpetuated the pork barrel system. When he was campaigning and he started his presidency, he was saying, Daang Matuwid, this is a different presidency, this is a different administration, etc., etc. But he betrayed the public trust because here he is having this very big pork barrel at his own disposal and continuing the corrupt system as before. And aside from that, also in the process, committing 116 acts of technical malversation.
All right. Congressman Barzaga, can you hear us? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So the point of Lisa here is, as she mentioned, PNoy basically has his own slush fund, his own pork barrel with the DAP. It's essentially a pork barrel, a PDAF fund that he used to I guess bribe, according
Curry
to Lisa,
favor?
to pay political favors, and that's technically, well, it's technical malversation. So do you feel that President Aquino did commit a crime by approving that, even if he says that he did it in good faith?
Well, firstly, let me put it this way. Even assuming that the decision of the Supreme Court right now is already final and executory, and even going further, that the Supreme Court would deny the motion for reconsideration, I still believe that the President has not committed any impeachable conduct. No less than the constitutional law expert, Father Joaquin Bernas, has expressly stated that the decision of the Supreme Court, their declaration that part of the DAP, part of the programs of the DAP is unconstitutional, is not a valid ground for the impeachment of the President. He stated that a culpable violation of the Constitution, to be a valid ground, it should be willful and intentional. And his opinion is that the act of the President is not willful or intentional. Practically the same was the view of Dean Antonio Lavinia of the Ateneo College of Law. And so far, I have been reviewing and reading all the opinions of the legal luminaries, and I have not seen or read any legal commentary coming from a recognized authority in political or constitutional law stating that the act of the President is a valid ground for impeachment.
All right.
Secondly, as a lawyer, we know for a fact that good faith is always presumed. And it has been always the opinion of my fellow lawyers that that part of the decision of the Supreme Court declaring that the authors, implementors of the DAP are in bad faith and the good faith should be proved by them in the proper tribunal is practically an obiter dictum.
All right.
It is not necessary in the resolution of the case. There has been no factual or legal issues discussed in arriving at the conclusion of bad faith on the part of the President and the other authors or implementors of the DAP. Thirdly, it has been always stated that this has been already a practice of all the previous administrations from the time of Cory Aquino and all the succeeding presidents. Fourthly, this is expressly provided for. This practice has some legal basis, and that would be the provisions of the Administrative Code of 1987. Also, we have to consider that if government officials like the President or other executives and even lawmakers would be liable for impeachment in the event that they should commit an unconstitutional act, in all likelihood, presidents and other impeachable officials would not be able to perform their task diligently with the fear or apprehension that their act may subsequently be declared unconstitutional, and for which they would be liable not only criminally, but also they could be impeached.
All right, thank you.
And these are the things which we have to consider.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Congressman Barzaga. Ma'am, in summary, no, Congressman Barzaga is saying you might have a violation of the Constitution, but the impeachment requires a culpable violation of the Constitution, which are two different things, no? And I'd like your thoughts on that right now. What do you think of that
in relation
comment?
to culpable violation of the Constitution, it is very clear. Because it is very clear that there are the Constitution itself states that the appropriation would come from the National Treasury. It should not, the money every year, emanates there. And that is why the President, by creating DAP, actually illegally pulled funds with, utmost disregard of the power of Congress to allocate, and itemize where the money should go. He had these big funds, millions of pesos, and then he himself would decide, where to put these
where to
millions or
allot them.
billions, So this is fiscal dictatorship, as others criticize.
All right. The other point made by Congressman Barzaga is that they were following the administrative code, and from what we know, the administrative code has not been declared unconstitutional, and you can't do that collaterally, meaning it has to be really challenged as a law. No? And if you read through the specific provisions being pointed out by President PNoy and as well as Secretary Butchabad, in justifying what they did with DAP, they're invoking the administrative code.
But that administrative code is just an administrative code. Of course, the law that has more weight is the basic law, which is the Constitution.
All right.
So why is he putting administrative code as even higher than the Constitution?
I guess
it's,
that
it's really.
I guess what we're saying that I have good faith because I'm following a specific law which has not been declared unconstitutional. However, I'd like to I'd like to discuss this point further, but in the meantime, rather we have to take a short break. More on the issue of impeachment raps against President Aquino III when we come back. You're watching Opposing Views. Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views. I'm Rod Nepomuceno. Still with us, former Gabriela Party List Representative Lisa Massa, and on the phone, Cavite 4th District Representative Congressman Elpidio Barzaga. Our question, should President Benigno Aquino III be impeached over the Disbursement Acceleration Program controversy, or DAP? Now, ma'am, we were talking about good faith. No? That's the defense that PNoy is proposing to the public, good faith, and the fact that it benefited the country, as well as Secretary Butchabad. He's saying good faith under, again, their defense is that the administrative code. Do you think that this is sufficient defense, at least so that they can't be blamed for culpable violation? Maybe it might be a borderline violation, but not a culpable violation.
To put it bluntly, it's a palusot.
Okay.
Because our assertion is that the president has been in Congress for 12 years. He was a member of the House of Representatives. He was, I think, one of the majority leaders. He became a senator. He even authored, when he was a senator, a bill about impounding funds during the time of former President Arroyo. So he is very well versed with public funds and how to manage this well. That is why because he did this DAP and he had this pool of funds that he can dispose, at whim. So we are saying that.
Does that presume bad faith, though? Does that presume bad faith, the fact that he had these funds at his disposal?
Because let us see where he put these funds. For example,
all right, let's discuss
that.
Okay.
Part of the funds, I think about 17 billion pesos, went to augmenting the PDAF of the senators and members of the House.
And does that automatically imply a political favor?
Oh, exactly. And then another, I was just reading yesterday, and this is very interesting. I was reading last night the account that was submitted by the Supreme Court, to the media about this 100 million pesos that is supposed to be, a cross-border transfer or something to that effect. And when I was reading it, it struck me that regarding this 100 million, that that Secretary Abad, of course, acting as an alter ego of the president, was, in January, after saying that they cannot anymore, accede to the request of the Supreme Court, in January of 2014, saying that they have this 100 million and offered this 100 million, and saying that this is from the savings.
From the savings, okay.
So,
So you-
so how can you interpret it? And how will you interpret this when the Supreme Court is out to release its decision
Right.
on the DAP, di ba?
Alright.
And then also doing cross-border transfer to COA. Eh yung COA, sila rin yung nag-check sa
Nag-check,
sa mga ano nyo, di ba? Sa mga financial reports.
So you're saying
nyo
because of
and-
these
and
actuations,
financial management nyo.
there's a presumption of bad faith? Or at least you can infer bad faith. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
All right. Congressman Barzaga, the president is invoking good faith, and so is Secretary Butchabad. No? Because of these examples, illustrations shown by Ms. Liza Masa here, do you feel that we can put a question mark on the good faith part? Because, and a lot of people are asking this, why is it that, if he's saying good faith, why is it that some of that money, some of that DAP was given to the senators who voted for the impeachment of Supreme Court Chief Justice or former Supreme Court Chief Justice Corona?
Well, firstly, I'm glad you brought out the issue of collateral attack. Many are wondering why the Supreme Court did not declare the provisions of the Administrative Code to be constitutional or unconstitutional. And apparently, you gave the answer. Because there has been no direct attack, insofar as the constitutionality of the Administrative Code is concerned, and therefore, the Supreme Court cannot rule on that. It is not one of the issues raised in the petition. Secondly, many are having the misconception that if there are two provisions, such as the Administrative Code and the Constitution will always be prevail. So basic is the rule to every law student that insofar as interpretation is concerned, we have to consider that interpretation which would give both effects, which would give an interpretation for which the Constitution and the law itself would be effective or can be given effect. It will be only in case of point of irreconcilability that we should declare a law to be unconstitutional. Apparently, in this particular case, it seems that there is no provision, there is no irreconcilable conflict between the provisions of the Administrative Code as well as the Constitution. Because in the Constitution, under Section 25, Paragraph 5 of Article 6, it is expressly provided that no law shall be passed allowing the transfer of appropriation. But in this particular case, the Administrative Code was enacted prior to the effectivity of the Constitution. And therefore, it is part of the law of the land. It is valid and effective. There has been so many allegations that 100 million pesos were given to the senators in order to receive the favor of voting favorably in the impeachment or conviction of Chief Justice Corona. But we have heard the statement of Secretary Abad yesterday that all the senators, except Senator Lacson, received their DAP in the sum of more or less 100 million. We are very aware that even those senators who did not vote for the conviction of Chief Justice Corona actually received DAP. Then how can we say that it was a quid pro quo agreement that those who would be receiving 100 million pesos would vote for Chief Justice Corona? I think these allegations are misplaced and belied by the actual facts.
All right.
Even
Okay, I just-
Secretary Abad stated yesterday that as early as October 2011, in the budget deliberation, he already informed the senators on record about the existence of DAP.
But may I
All right,
just ask,
Lisa, go
may I
ahead.
just ask the good congressman, isn't it that in 2011, 2012, and 2013, the GAA itself clearly stated that you cannot transfer cross-border, meaning to say that you can only spend whatever savings or extra funds to your respective department.
Well,
It is stated in the
to
GAA
tell
that you
honestly,
yourself
I am
approve.
not very much aware of that provision. It will be better if we state emphatically the provision itself.
It is there in the
But what I am saying
GAA,
in this
the good
particular case
congressman.
is that this has been a practice before. It has the DAP was brought to the attention of the senators publicly, and nobody questioned it, and it was only questioned after PDAP was declared to be unconstitutional.
All right, Congressman, let's shift gears a bit, Lisa. No? If because there are a number of questions coming in. If Budget Secretary Butchabad, for example, resigned or was allowed to resign, since he's the so-called architect of the DAP, would all these impeachment complaints cease?
No, I think that Secretary Abad has his own responsibility to DAP, and he should account for it. And at the same time, the President also has his own responsibility to DAP and should account for it. And because up to this time, as we speak, the President still asserts that DAP is legal, DAP is correct, etc., etc. But he has owned up responsibility for DAP, and he knows we have proof that in some communication he even puts his marginal notes. So he's very much conscious. He helped conceptualize it. He is an implementer and proponent.
So he
of
should
that.
be held accountable.
Yes.
All right. We need to take a short break. Don't go away. When we come back, the results of our online poll on the issue and the final words of our guests. Please stay tuned. You're watching Opposing Views. Welcome back. This is Opposing Views. I'm Rod Nepomuceno. And our guests, former Gabriela Party List Representative Lisa Masa and Cavite 4th District Representative Congressman Elpidio Barzaga on the phone. Our debate question for tonight, should President Benigno Aquino III be impeached over the disbursement acceleration program controversy? All right. Now, Lisa, we all know we've gone through the impeachment process before, and we know that impeachment is a numbers game. No? Do you think that the impeachment will prosper as majority of the senators and congressmen are I guess, of the yellow coalition? So I guess, to put it bluntly, do you think it's even worth it to go through this process?
Well, we are fully aware of the balance of forces in the House as well as in the Senate. We don't have any illusion that at this time we have the numbers. No? So we know that we're going to have an uphill battle. It's going to be very difficult, but we are very hopeful. Because remember, I still recall when I started as a congresswoman way back in 2001. Our position has always been that the pork barrel system should, should vanish from the face of the earth.
Get rid of
and I wouldn't think that now PDAP, which is a manifestation of the pork barrel system, has been declared unconstitutional. And now DAP, which is the pork barrel of the president, also has been declared unconstitutional in all its particular aspects. So I am hopeful that this is also a learning process, not only for us, but for the ordinary people, that this is the way we should go. Impeachment is one of the processes wherein we can hold our elected official, the president, accountable, and therefore we should not be afraid to go to discourse of
despite
really,
the numbers being against you.
really making those who have committed a betrayal of public trust and culpable violation of the Constitution accountable for their acts.
Congressman Barzaga.
Well, Attorney, I would just like to bring one point. If the Supreme Court will sustain its decision prohibiting cross-border transfers, there would be far-reaching consequences. I was a practicing lawyer for 22 years, and I was a local chief executive for a period of 9 years. During the time that I was practicing and during the time that I was the mayor, I know for a fact that MPCs, RTCs are asking assistance from local government units. Local government units are providing allowances to members of to RTC judges, MPC judges, providing even court personnel, buying laptops and computers, even constructing courts of justice on lands belonging to local government units. If the Supreme Court would retain its prohibition against cross-border, many local government officials are apprehensive that they would not be able to help or extend the help which they are giving to RTCs and MPCs. Because local chief executives know for a fact that they are part of the executive department of our government, and RTC judges and MPC judges and personnel, they are part of the judiciary. And based on the decision of the Supreme Court, that would be illegal in as much as that would be a cross-border transfer of funds from the local government unit to the executive.
All right.
Secondly, it's good that my good friend Lisa had admitted that they are on an uphill battle. As a public official, I always consider the welfare of the nation as the paramount and primary consideration. I'm glad that Senator Estrada has expressly stated that the opposition is not supporting the impeachment complaint because it will be divisive for our country. In the event that the impeachment complaint would push through, will it do good for the economy or for our country and for our nation as a whole? The term of the president is only for a period of 2 years. If there will be impeachment proceedings, it will be divisive, then the House would not be able to tackle the important legislation in the event that the one-third number would be able to be reached by the complainants. Then it goes to the Senate. During the impeachment proceedings, the country is at a standstill. All our investors are watching. The economy will be stagnant, and the primary effect will be on our citizens, most of whom are poor.
All right.
So I think at this stage, we cannot afford an impeachment proceeding. Let us just rally on behalf of our people, and if we think that the president or his cabinet secretaries have done something wrong, let us just file the appropriate charges in court, but not impeachment proceedings.
All right. Now, do you think, Lisa, do you think that given the numbers that you have currently, now, do you think that President Aquino will only be held accountable after his term?
Well, I think that
I mean, from a pragmatic standpoint,
right now,
realistic standpoint.
if you track for example, the popularity of the president. The popularity of the president has,
plunged.
dramatically, slid down. And this is because of the issue of the pork barrel system. And which means that outside where there is the majority of the Filipinos, they are really for accounting and for accountability of our government officials. And I think this is the time, to really go the right
path.
the right direction.
Regardless of the numbers or regardless
of the number, regardless of who.
Or the economic impact, the negative economic impact. You think that we should go for this despite the...
there are so many palusot about DAP. Like DAP contributed this much to the economy, DAP contributed to the peace and order. These are all palusot as far as I'm concerned. And even if they cannot provide even the data for that, for those assertions, no? So tanggalin na natin yung mga palusot. What we're saying now is that itigil na ang palusot, yung mga dapat managot ay yung mga lahat ng kasangkot dapat managot. At kahit presidente ka pa, lalo na kung presidente ka at kasangkot ka, mas lalo kang dapat na nananagot in order to show, to give example to the others.
All right. We've reached, unfortunately, we've reached the final few minutes of our program. Congressman Barzaga, we have time for final words, no? So I'll ask you first, what are your final words to our viewing public regarding this issue?
Well, of course, these are trying times for our Filipinos. Nobody is perfect in the government, or any individual is not perfect. What is important right now is to unite, solve up our problem, and as I have been always stated, quoting John F. Kennedy, as long as we are not united, nothing is possible. On the other hand, if we are united, nothing is impossible. So let us unite for the next 2 years. Siguro huwag na lang tayo magkaisa. Pagdating ng panahon ng halalan, mamili tayo kung sino ang gusto natin at kung sino ang napili ng nakakarami nating mga kababayan para mamuto sa atin, siya nating suportahan regardless of our political alliances, regardless of our political affiliations.
All right. Thank you very much, Congressman Barzaga. Ma'am Liza, Maza, your final words for televiewers?
Yes. The people have always been desirous of change. When they voted overwhelmingly for President Aquino, it is because President Aquino offered change, offered daang matuwid. But unfortunately, he betrayed the trust. He betrayed the trust of the people that indeed this president will go the right path. And that is why we are saying now that enough of that, we should hold all responsible for graft and corruption, all who are responsible for corruption that has caused a lot of sufferings to the poor. You have this very serious problem of corruption when you have a large number of our people who are hungry and who are in poverty. So what we're saying is that we should hold them accountable. Kahit sino ka pa, kahit maliit ka, lalong-lalo na kung malaki ka, dapat lang harapin mo ang yung mga naging pagwabaldas ng pera at lahat ng mga tiwaling ginawa at ikaw bilang isang sangkot at nasa kataas-taasan pa naman ay dapat magbigay ng ehemplo na harapin at panagutan ang mga katiwalian na ito.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lisa. All right. Thanks to our guests, former Gabriela Party List Representative Lisa Masa and Cavite 4th District Representative Congressman Elpidio Barzaga. Now let's feel the pulse of our viewers through our online poll. Our question, should President Aquino III be impeached over the disbursement acceleration program controversy? Those who answered yes, he should be impeached is 35%, and those who said no, 65%. And that's our opposing views for tonight. Tune in again next week for another bold and engaging discussion on today's most relevant issues. I'm Rodney Pumuseno. Good night. God bless.